Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be going over Axe, specifically Miro's Axe in patch 7.39. We're going to be covering what this hero does well, how you should be playing it, the items, skill build, and so on and so forth. The reason why I'm making a video on this hero is I think it's one of the better offlaners of the patch. I think this hero is very stable laning stage, very fast farmer, and scales reasonably well. So I'm a big fan of Axe. I think it's a great hero to pick up in the offlane, as it kind of gives your team a lot of the things that you'd want from a standard offlaner. On top of that, go sign up to the gameleap website, guys. I'm posting new content over there almost every day, and I'll see you there. Okay, now in terms of starting items, guys, this is a bit off meta. This is mainly a response to the Razor that he's laning against. It's not something I'd recommend. Even against Razor, I actually don't even think that you have to do this. I'll be real. This hero's base stats are quite good. You're reasonably fast at 300 movement speed. The weakness of this hero is it has pretty bad damage, or just okay damage. Okay armor, not the best. So generally starting items are going to be 2 gauntlets, a circlet, and 3 branches. This is the double bracer opening, because typically in the laning stage, you're going to be buying 2 bracers on this hero. There are some other builds that revolve around ringer protection, because you only have 3 armor, and because of the fact that for every armor you have, you increase the DPS of Battle Hunger by 1. So if you buy a Ring of Protection, it actually increases the damage of Battle Hunger by 24, which is not bad. You know, it's okay. There's actually some people who also buy like 3 Rings of Protection, and it's like funny because, you know, Battle Hunger does a lot of damage, but it just doesn't build into anything, and in general, I think it's just not worth the net worth. Okay, now let's talk about the early laning stage. So in general, this hero's got a pretty strong early laning stage, primarily because Battle Hunger is one of the most spammable spells in the game. It's only 50 mana, right? That's the big thing. So the main thing I'd recommend, guys, just spam this shit. Specifically spam it on the support. If you put it on the carry, there's a high chance they get a last hit or deny, and they dispel it. That's how the ability works, right? So mainly you want to put it on the enemy support. He overextends a little bit to use it here, but in general, just be pretty casual about it. You don't have to force it that hard. Just put it on the enemy sup and try to make sure that they don't get some casual deny. And that's going to be huge, right? It's going to allow your position forward to win a lot of auto attacks and kind of get ahead in the trades to hopefully contest the pull camps very effectively. After that, I wouldn't say there's too much to be said. At level 2, you're going to skill counter helix, but you don't use it that much. Honestly, in general, there's not that many opportunities to like really get value out of it. So you're primarily waiting for level 3 and even more so level 4 when you're eventually going to take that point in Battle Hunger. However, when you eventually take the point in call, but sometimes you actually do take it at level 3. But let's skip ahead a bit, because at this point, guys, basically all you do is spam the pause 5, and hopefully that eventually leads into a kill. The only time you would Battle Hunger the carry is if you're comfortably going to be able to zone them off the creep wave. Other than that, I just wouldn't do it. And in terms of items, your first item should be tangos. You should ship them immediately if you're doing the bracer item build start. Then after that, you're shipping your 2 bracers, and you can also ship a stick if it's good. You can ship 1 bracer and a stick as well, right? These items are all perfectly fine. You'll eventually need a wand on this hero. Okay, so at some point in this lane, it gets really hard, and I do want to make sure you guys understand this concept. In general, Axe won't really have to leave his lane. He, as I said, is a pretty good laner, and you should be buying, 2 bracers and a magic wand, phase boots, and that's the build. However, he doesn't have that luxury. Razor is obviously a pretty natural counter to Axe. You don't have to get that close for counter helix, and you drain him with your link. So you can, once the timer passes minute 530, cut the wave anywhere. You can even cut it behind the tier 3. Now, this is something that is definitely reasonably viable. It's not bad. The more standard play, however, is just kind of dragging the wave from here. I'll go into free camera so you guys can see a little bit better. You drag the wave from here, or obviously on the other side, kind of same area, to a camp, and you farm them at the same time. This is extremely efficient, and if you don't have pressure on the carry, you should do it even if your lane went well, right? Cutting waves is the most efficient way to play Axe. It's also the best way to play Axe when your game is really, really bad. So I would say in the extremes, where your lane is really good but you don't have pressure, you should do it. And when your lane is really bad, you should do it. However, if you have kill threat, you can obviously continue to play it to kill the lane. And really, before I move on to the farming patterns, I would like to say that the main way you kill people is you call them on creep waves. He actually has the call out facet, which they just buffed this patch. If you aren't familiar, it gives you a bit of bonus armor when you're calling people, which is just fine. But more so, what's important is that it gives the enemies 45 attack speed, making them hit you faster, therefore causing you to counter helix much quicker. So, gets the call on the Razor and the creep wave, and it does so much damage with this call out facet, right? It's a huge bump in damage. And so yeah, they're able to take out the Razor with a really nice shackle. Into call, that was a great movement. But here's where I really love Axe, and this is actually truly why I value this hero. I think the current map setup for Axe is very favorable. The reason why is if things go really bad, right, or even if they go well and you just feel like you can invade, maybe the enemy mid is camping you, you have access to a lot of very convenient camps, the medium camp and a large camp on the side. And you'll see that here. So what he's going to do, he's got his phase boots, he's got his Winlace, but the Razor kicked him out. And so what you can do is you can conveniently farm these camps, right? It's very easy. Once you have bracers, you can super easily do this. Also, you'll probably get a neutral item around this point of the game by jungling, as he calls to try to get the stack. Failed it, unfortunately, but you know, you can stack with Battle Hunger, which he also tried to do on this camp. I think he missed both. Yeah, okay, that was a bit... He missed both, but you can stack at least one of them. Then from there, he's going to come take this camp. It's stacked. You know, it's a pro game, so they make a lot of stacks in pro games. And in your pubs, you know, if you're playing with your friends, you can obviously ask them to stack as well. This hero is one of the best stack clears in the game, especially the large camp. The Ancients can be a little hard unless you're going Vanguard. And on that note, let's talk about items real quick. So if you buy Double Bracer, I think the best next item tends to be Blade Mail. I think Blink is okay, especially if you have like an AA on your team or a Skywrath or a Ringmaster who's going to help you get early game kills. It can be all right. I just think in general, it's better to kind of buy Blade Mail or buy Vanguard and use it as a way to really ramp up your game. I think the main theme of this video that a lot of people might not expect is that Axe is a flash farming hero. Axe is a hero that should farm a ton. As you'll see, a fight is breaking out here, but he's actually continuing to farm. And the reason why is Axe is more of a mid-game skirmisher than an early-game skirmisher. Battle Hunger just isn't that useful at this point of the game. Call is frankly pretty hard to use, and Counter Helix isn't that useful in open area fights. And so yeah, he buys a Vanguard because I guess this game is a little hard. It also allows you to take the Ancient stacks, which is why I love the Vanguard. The only problem is, even though it's so good for farming, it does mean that you lack a bit of damage on that blink timing, right? Because Blink Blade Mail is just obviously way more damage. By the way, he got Giga Blessed with Chip Vest. He also got Mana Regen, which this hero does have some mana problems, and typically after my Blink Dagger, I'll go back for a Magic Wand if I haven't completed it. He didn't do that this game, which I found a bit surprising, but I think it is very good. But okay, until minute 12, he's primarily farming. By the way, if you have a good game and you buy Vanguard, you want to go that route, you can dive the enemy carry. That's going to be your timing to start diving the tower. If you go Vanguard and the game is a bit harder, you can just farm. If you want to go Blade Mail, I still think you should generally farm until Blink. Basically, can you make moves without Blink? Yes. Should you? Generally, no. It's just risky. You can see if fight is happening bottom, he's farming the Ancients, right? He's just playing for his timing, stacking with Battle Hunger. Blink completed. And now once the Blink is fully finished, he'll eventually make a move. He TPs mid with the Blink, gets smoked by his Bane. They're going to move into the jungle. See a really nice call. What a beautiful ward in the jungle. Shanks the ult in classic Axe fashion, but the spin comes out and they get a massive double kill. And that's what you want to look for, guys, right? That's the huge timing, right? It's your Blink Dagger. And again, I don't recommend rushing Blink. I recommend rushing Vanguard or Blade Mail. Vanguard to really flash farm, Blade Mail to have just a stronger Blink timing. That's kind of how I view the two items. Vanguard is way better for farming, but yeah, now he's going back for the Blade Mail. This is where I personally like to buy a Magic Wand. Even if I have two bracers, you will have some slot issues, but I do find it to be worth it, especially if you're going Blade Mail with no Vanguard. You'll have some sustain issues as well. So if you do that, please buy a wand. You have mana problems, you have some sustain issues, so it's actually quite problematic not to. Now, at this point in the game, you can actually continue to farm until you have Blade Mail. I really dislike that he holds Blade Mail components over gauntlets. I guess it's fine. I mean, the chainmail does make your Battle Hunger much better, but I don't know. Either way, this is where Axe can be a little weird. You really want to hunt on creep waves. If you can't call someone on a creep wave and you don't have Blade Mail, you just don't do damage. And so you need to be careful. Like, he calls Centaur here, and he makes the really good read to kite out. The reason why, you don't do anything to this guy, and it's actually Axe's major flaw. He's kind of one of those heroes where the matchups are very important. You know, if you don't counter the enemy hero, it's pretty hard for you to do anything. But he makes the good read to kind of kite out, wait for the Centaur to get chipped by his teammates, and then finishes off the kill. After that, he farms it up a little bit, pushing out the waves, right? You don't always have to be hunting on Axe, even though once you have Blade Mail, you do want to start ramping up your timings. By the way, Axe is a hero that wants follow-up in the early game. Very rarely should you make solo plays unless you're killing a carry and you have Blade Mail on a creep wave. Usually you'll reflect enough damage where you're going to kill them This was a cool read here. He didn't instantly blink call the puck because he was afraid of getting silenced or he was afraid of getting reacted to by phase shift. So good patience. He also kind of just allowed for his Void Spirit to get in position, and they blow up the puck. And again, you can see that's the follow-up coming into play. That's a sign of these pro teams, right? They're just on the same page. The Wind Ranger is in position with the axe, and they get a very nice clean kill on the puck. Again, I wish he had a magic wand. So after that, he's going to buy a BKB, and I can't stress how important it is to do this. A lot of people, for some reason, just think it's okay to skip it on axe. This hero is one of the worst kiting heroes in the game. If you don't get a dunk, you can't really move on this hero. You're just not fast, right? Battle Hunger, yes, it gives you movement speed, but it's just not enough. The ulti, it gives you 25% movement speed, but without BKB, I mean, you're just still not going to move. The majority of slows in the game are still going to make it very hard for you to kite out. And so you just have to buy a BKB so that, well, you can kite out after your initial call, and so you can just click your dunk, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the time, you're just going to get stunned if you initiate. So it just really allows you to finish kills and actually allow you to reset after your initial blink. So if you're the type of axe player to be greedy and not go for BKB, I can't stress how much I disagree with it. I think it's a big mistake. Okay, but we are going to see a team fight breakout here. This one, nothing special. I actually thought he was going to blink call this. He makes the read to blink call the Razor, which, you know, he has Eye of the Storm. It's actually probably the better play. You know, Miro's the GOAT here, but it's a good read. The guy has Eye of the Storm going. Nice save from the Ringmaster to try to bail him out. It's obviously not going to be enough. But yeah, I mean, this is the problem with Axe. Usually when you initiate, kind of die. This hero actually isn't tanky at all. Axe is a comically squishy hero. His strength gain is only 2.8. You know, you compare that to something like Centaur that has a 4 strength gain. You know, I mean, it's like a 30% difference, you know. So your HP pool is quite low. Your abilities don't actually make you tanky. You know, call is like completely fake. And so that's why you really need the BKB. You can see it in a fight like that. You go in, yeah, you do a lot of damage. I mean, he killed the Razor almost by himself, but it's very hard to just live. And so yeah, I mean, even in this sequence, I just want to show this. It's minute 22. They took the Tormentor. I have no clue why he shipped one component of BKB. That's pretty useless, but sure. And he's just farming some back camps. Obviously, in pubs, if your team is just going to go take some team fight, you kind of have to follow them. I always want to stress that to you guys. Like, if fights are happening, you should be there. But like in these pro games, they're obviously communicating and they understand each other's heroes a lot better. And so they get it. Like Axe needs a BKB. It's one of those heroes that just really needs this item. And if you're close to it, you know, you can delay the game a little bit for it, as he is here. And Axe farms so fast. I mean, this hero's farm rate is insanely fast. But a fight breaks out, and even though he's 100 gold off BKB, you know, he's showing up. And this is what I'm talking about. If the fights happen, you should show up. Oh, that's a juicy 2-man call. Oh, barely off. We'll buy enough time for the TB to finish off the AA though. And by the way, notice how he always has some sort of mana neutral item. He had the mana enchantment tier 1 with Chip Vest. Honestly, you can take Chip Vest again. I'm not going to cap. That item is probably better than a lot of tier 2 and tier 3 neutral items on Axe specifically. You know, I mean, reflecting 30 damage per auto attack is no joke, especially with the call out facet. You're just getting so much value there. But yeah, BKB online. After that, there's a lot of avenues, honestly. There are so many items you can buy on this hero. We'll see what he buys, but there are so many different things you can buy on this hero after BKB. Yeah, this play here is super sick and a great example of why this item build is very, very important. This call was pretty risky. I mean, you're calling a puck, you know what I mean? And you're kind of like, the puck almost kind of, I mean, he definitely knows he's there, but gets the damage off. Nice shackle from the wind. Puck probably wouldn't have died solo to the axe there, but nice shackle from the wind. Gets the dunk. And now with the BKB and the movement speed, he's running at 500 MS. A little bit of help from the Bane allows him to kite out. And he's doing a good job of kiting out, right? You get that call, get the kill, you kite out. You reset for your blink up in 1 second, blink call, dunk. And generally you would rinse repeat if you don't die. And that's a very clean axe execution. And in terms of team fights, guys, I don't think it matters that much who you jump. However, you typically just jump who's in front of you just to start the fight close to your teammates. However, if you have the choice between targets, you target the carries and the mids, right? Because you have a Blade Mail. This hero specifically is very good at jumping cores. So if you're unfamiliar with like how good Blade Mail is against a lot of carries, certain carries, heroes like PA, you know, if they don't have their BKB online or they don't have like a Sant and Yasha, they're going some like greedy build. Like I know for a fact from a lot of my coaching, like 3Ks will buy literally Battle Fury in the Deso. Like, you will solo kill that guy. So really it's a good habit if you're playing Axe to click on enemy heroes and say, are they going glass cannon? You know, is the enemy mid Lina buying, you know, Mjolnir into something crazy? I don't know what you guys are, Mjolnir into Shadowblade. That sounds like a 3k build. You know, you can probably solo kill that guy. And so you want to look for stuff like that, especially from carry heroes. And as we start to wrap up the game here, I do want to stress this is why this Winlace, in my opinion, should be a magic wand. You actually run out of mana. Like, this hero just runs out of mana, especially if you decide to max Battle Hunger, which some people will say, oh, take stats and just skip Battle Hunger. I hard disagree. This ability does a lot of damage. It's a very significant 40% movement speed slow. It increases the cast range, which really does matter. And it goes down to a 5-second cooldown. I mean, this ability is just good. So I really don't think like saying, oh, I have a bit of mana problems, I'm gonna skill stats is the right angle. I think just drop the Winlace, pick up a magic wand, have a clarity in your backpack from time to time, and try to make sure that your neutral item gives mana. I mean, even this Gale Guard, I would argue maybe he should have kept mana drought, because you just really, it is one of the flaws of this hero. His strength gain is not great, and his int gain and int pool is not great, so not the best stat hero in general. But yeah, so for his next item, he picked up the Axe. It's a cool one. Basically, it applies a stacking debuff to enemies. If they hit you, it will reduce their damage that they deal to you. It's kind of weird because it doesn't, I believe it doesn't work through BKB, but it also makes it remove the counter helix cooldown. It's pretty nice. It also advances the counter when you attack. So obviously when you call someone, even your 1 or 2 auto attacks are going to make you, almost spin. It's a half a spin for 2 autos, which is not bad. And so especially against illusion heroes, or really high attack speed heroes, something like some Ursa or like a PL, Terrorblades, stuff like that, the Ags is really nice, especially against stuff like Terrorblades. Because if they can't get rid of the Ag stacks, they can't even do damage to you. I've even seen this be really good against like Slarks. When you call that guy, he just doesn't do damage to you, which is pretty cool. It's nice. But yeah, teamfight here, he's being a little careful. You don't really want to jump the Centaur. It's probably a little hesitant to jump this Razor, but oh, with the BKB, I was going to say, in a Terrorblade there, you don't have to do the damage here. It's a nice box from Ringmaster. It's definitely one of Axe's least favorite matchups. Ringmaster dumpsters Axe. This matchup is not good. Honestly, a lot of save heroes are problematic for Axe, the Wyverns and stuff like that. Ringmaster is particularly bad because a lot of the time he kills you after it as well with like an Atos and ult. Reinitiates, looks for the jump. By the way, in terms of talents, 3-second Calling Blade kill buff duration at 10, even though the other one is good. Battle Hunger slow at 15. Oh, I didn't even realize he took that. Okay, so I guess the Battle Hunger is only 30%. At max, it's 40% with the 15 talent. So yeah, I mean, the Berserker's Call Armor is just it's just cap. I mean, it's not good. At level 20, counter helix damage, pretty standard, especially if you're buying Ags. And at level 25, I actually think both are great. The Battle Hunger Armor multiplier, I mean, it's a lot of damage, especially considering Axe gets armor from killing people, right? If you dunk people, you get armor. That's his innate, right? Anytime he kills a hero, he gets armor, and he gets more if it's with your ulti. And so it kind of just makes sense to like take this Battle Hunger Armor multiplier, because like a lot of the time, by the time you have it, your hero can have like, some 30, 40, 50 armor, depending on how much you're snowballing. And then, I mean, this ability literally will do like 150 DPS for 12 seconds. I mean, there are games, that's pretty standard, where you put one on a sup and it actually just takes them out of the fight. It's a 5-second cooldown ability. So I do think that it is actually quite underrated. By the way, his Shard is one of the best in the game. I really believe Axe Shard, I don't know if you bought it after BKB, but I also think it's one of those things you should buy, especially if the enemy lacks Dispels. It applies Battle Hunger to affected units anytime you call them, which is just good, right? This ability is just good. It's also just as slow, it's just damage. And you can apply multiple instances. So you call them Battle Hunger, and then you Battle Hunger them. And there's 2 instances of very high DPS. This ability is just strong. And so yeah, especially against a lack of Dispels, which again, the lower MMR you go, the less Dispels. People just tend to buy more DPS items rather than defensive items. And so yeah, it just becomes, the Shard is just nasty, especially after BKB. So yeah, that's going to be about the end of the video as we see them look for a jump in the base. He gets Glimmer Caved, misses the call, beautiful stuff. Oh yeah, another item you can buy in the late game after Ags is Nullifier, especially against these save matchups. Just keep it in mind. Especially, I guess I'm more just talking about a Ringmaster, but it's just a good option to have. A lot of the time you can also just buy like Refresher, Octarine, and stuff like that. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and I'm out.
And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the GameLeap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.